Hello and welcome back. And today we are going to discuss about the top P and temperature settings. So in the last video, I was discussing some kind of theoretical concepts, and there are many more theoretical concepts that you must need to know. But I thought, like before we move ahead, this will be good that you should be involved with some kind of hands-on exercises as well, and there should be something interesting which helps you with your lab exercises, right? If you want to do some kind of, prompting, some kind of exercise with your chat GPT or maybe any kind of model, then in that case, this concept or this video will be really useful and really interesting for you. So we are going to discuss about the top P and temperature settings. Let me tell you that these two settings really play an important role when you are generating the output. Okay. So let me just go to one of the playground, which is a chat GPT playground. So you just need to, just log in like here platform.openai.com. You just need to log in here. And once you log in using your account, if you don't have account, you need to create one. I have one account and I'm just using that. So you need to sign up and then you need to log in. So I have logged in and now I'm going to use the playground. Just click on the playground, right? Let me tell you that I don't have any quota left. So I will not be able to show you any prompt running. But yeah, the main concept is that I just want to show you these things: temperature and top P. And there is max token. This max token we don't have to worry about. Max tokens, you already know that max tokens will help you to get the maximum size output, right? If you want to restrict the size of the output to these many tokens, then you can restrict. But if you want to get detailed output, and if you want that your model should not, your LLM should not worry about like, how much it need to output, and if the text output is very large, then how it will be giving you the output, then in that case you can set it to the maximum tokens. With that you will be able to get the maximum length output. Anyways, we have to discuss about the temperature and top P settings. You can see the maximum value of top P is 1.0, right? And a temperature is 2.0 and top P is 1.0, right? For the top P is 1.0 and for the temperature is 2.0. Okay. So if you discuss about this temperature and top P, these are all basically dependent on the probability distribution based on which the LLM was trained. I mean, the chat GPT or the GPT-4 was, chat GPT was trained, right? So based on whatever probability distribution this was trained, based on that only it will be giving you the response. And based on what you have set for the temperature and the top P values, it will give you the response, and you will be able to see more certain responses, or maybe able to see more random responses based on these values. These two values, temperature and top P, they really define like how random or how specific your response will be, whatever you are asking. So let me just go through the slides and just read the first slide, introduction to the concepts. So here, if you read it, top P and temperature settings are essential hyperparameters used in AI generative models. Top P influences the likelihood of selecting high probability words, creating diverse outputs. Conversely, temperature adjusts the randomness, influencing creativity by making the model more explorative or conservative in its choices. These settings enable tailored control over the generation of text. Okay. So both the things like top P and temperature, both the values are just defining like how random or how predictable or how certain your output will be. But the thing is that both of them are doing it in different ways. Okay. So let me tell you that how different they are, right? So before that, let me show you the next slide. So here we are understanding the top P. So example of top P is like, for instance, setting P at 0.9 means the model will only consider the 90% most likely tokens when generating outputs, effectively filtering less probable options, right? Hopefully you are able to understand it now, that what is top P doing, right? Suppose, let me make it a bit simpler for you. Suppose, let me take the pen. Suppose, there are three words: word one, word two, and word three. And you are writing some basic word. Suppose you are writing I am, okay, I are, I, was, right? So these are the three variations. One is wrong. The other two are like I am, I was. These two are the valid ones, right? So when the people are writing, then they have written everything and they have posted everything all over the internet. So based on that data, the models have been trained. So model has seen that most of the times I was, I am, these two words have been used. So if I'm writing I mean the chat GPT is writing I, then what will be the next word? Next word could be am or next word could be was, right? If the next word is am or if the next word is was, this will both depend on the context as well as the probability of these two words when the model was trained, right? Suppose word 1 was 95% of the time used, word 2 was used 2% of the time, and word 3 was used 3% of the times. Okay? Word 3 was used 3% of the times. And if you want that whatever output you are generating, then you want more specific answers. You don't want those words in your answer, or you don't want that content to be generated which contains less probable words, or which contains the less probable content which is available uh, throughout the internet and using which the model was trained, right? In that case, you will set your probability to the top p to the lower values, right? Lower values means if you make it lower, then lower value means it will take only the top two values while generating the output. While generating the next word, it will be able to take only the top values, top words. But the other words which have less probability while it was, just trained, then in that case, it will just remove all these words. It will not consider these words, right? It will not consider these words at all, right? Suppose, if I set like, I want to set it 0.2, right? So in 0.2, it will take what are the 20% words I have seen throughout the training material, whatever I have trained, whenever I was trained, then what were those words which falls under the 20% of the probability that yes, these are the probable words which comes after this particular word. Then in that case, it will consider only those 20% words. It will not consider less rest of the words. I have taken only two or three words just for the sake of example. There are lakhs of tokens. There are billions of tokens. There are millions of tokens after one word, right? For example, there is a word we. After this, we were, we assume, we will. All these are the possible words which will come after we. But the thing is that considering the context, right? Considering the context, what are those words which are coming more with more probability after the V that will be taken, right? So if I set it to 20%, then it will only take those words which have the higher probability to be used, or which are used more often with the V after V, right? That is why you might have seen that when you are generating the output is getting generated word by word. It is not flashing, in one single shot. It is generating I. After that, it will write like M, right? Then it will write some other word. So after each word, it just checks the probability of the next word. And if you have set this top P to 20% or maybe the lower to 0.2, then in that case, it will be very specific and it will be very, very much uh, lean towards the certain output rather than being more random or more creative. It will not remain more creative, right? It will be more specific while generating the output if you have taken the 0.2% or the lower value for the P, right? For the P value, right? So this is how it generates the output with the, a random, in the random way, or maybe with the more certain way, right? In the more certain way or in the random way, right? So top P does this thing. And let me tell you that this temperature, this also do the same thing, but there is a difference. You can first read out this text, whatever I have written here, and then you can just understand what I'm telling. Okay, temperature adjusts how an AI model select tokens. A lower value promotes predictability, while a higher value enhance creativity, allowing the diverse outputs by changing selection probabilities. So if you see, both the things are doing the same thing. That's the same thing that we have discussed about the top P. But what is the temperature? How does it differs? Right? If we have discussed about top P, then only top P can, just manage it. But what is the temperature? Temperature does the things in a different way. Suppose there are three words: word 1, word 2, and word 3, right? And you have written some word. Your GPT is generating some word. This word has been generated, and now GPT is searching for the next word among these three words. I have taken, for example, these three words. There are billions and millions of words after this word. While the model was trained, at that time, it could have found millions and billions of words after this particular word, whatever it is taking, like it may be we, right? We were, we are, we will, all these kind of words it could have taken, it could have seen while it was trained, right? Now, what will happen in case of, suppose let me just do like word 20 billion, right? Something like, let me just write like billion, okay? 20 billionth token, right? 20 billionth word. Now, if I set the temperature, the range of the temperature is 0 to 2, right? The lower value of temperature, suppose if I take 0.1 or 0.2, then in that case, it doesn't mean that it will remove the 80% of the words. It will keep the 80% of the words. But in case of top P value, it was removing the bottom 80% of the words. It was just removing them to not consider them while generating the output. But in case of temperature, this is not the case. In case of temperature, what it will do, if the word 1 probability had 20%, it has 35%, it has 2%, or maybe the billionth token has only 1%, then in that case, what it will do, your probability curve, whatever your probability curve was, right? Like if the probability curve was like this, right? Like this, then it will make it more, uniform, like this way. This way it will make the number of, the peaks, right? They will be, the number of peaks will be reduced. It will become like a plateau, right? Something like this, so that it can choose many of the words among the available set of words from word 1 till the 20 billionth word. It is not going to remove any word, but yeah, it is going to set the probability of all the words in such a way, or all the tokens in such a way, that the probabilities of each of the tokens is the difference in the probability of the each of the tokens is minimal, right? So that it can choose whatever word it wants. So in case of temperature, you are not truncating the words on which the model was trained, but in case of top P, you are truncating those words on which the model was trained, right? That's the difference between the temperature and the top P values, right? And obviously, both of them are serving one purpose only. Either you want to generate the random output or more creative output, or if you want to generate more certain output or more specific or targeted output, then in that case, both the values, temperature and the top P, they both plays the important role, right? So this is this is the importance of the temperature and the top P values. Okay, now let us see what are the scenario for high values, right? For both the top P and the temperature, right? So if you are doing the creative writing, then you need to have the top P and the temperature values very high. If you are going to do some story generation, then in that case, also you need to take the high P values and high temperature values. If you are brainstorming some ideas, then also the high P values and the high top P value and high temperature value will be important. I mean, will help you to get more advanced output or better output, right? So, brainstorming, creative writing, story generation, poem writing, all these things will need the high values for top P and temperatures. And what are the scenario for low values? Technical writing, right? When you are writing something which is technical in essence, then in that case, low values in the technical writing, it will boost the clarity and improve precision. It will foster an effective understanding of the complex ideas, right? You cannot be more random when you are writing some technical things. You should be more aligned towards certain technical words. So you need to remove, or you need to just uh, either remove for the top P, or you need to make it make it understand that the model need to choose only those words which have higher probability. In case of temperature, it chooses the higher probability values, right? Okay, it chooses the higher probability values, and the same happens with the top P. But in case top P and temperature, the way they handle or the way they choose the next token, that is the difference. They choose the tokens based on what is available to them and what is not available to them. Top P removes few of the tokens to choose the next token, and temperature changes the probability curve, changes the probability of the rest of the tokens, or all of the tokens, to make the difference between between the probabilities of those tokens minimal, right? So that way, both of these, top P and temperatures are working. So for the technical writing, you should use low values. For the data summaries, if you are summarizing something, then it should choose very specific information, so that the summary should be complete in itself and should make sense. And that is why data summarization tasks, if you are doing the data summarization, then in that case you should keep the top P and the temperature values lower. Okay, and from the formal communication, in formal communication, low values enhance consistency and professionalism, which plays a vital role in maintaining credibility with audiences. Very simple, right? So these are the three scenarios. There could be many scenarios, but just to um, you know make an understanding, like where you should use the low values and where you should use the high values, that was my purpose. Now, when to consider top P values? Can you consider top P, because top P and temperature both are available there, right? So can you use both of them together? See, it is advised that you use either top P or use either temperature, right? Based on your requirement that we have discussed in the previous scenario, right? Like when to use the top P, and when to use the higher values and when to use the lower values. But when to consider top P and when to consider temperature, that will depend on the scenarios, right? The scenarios where few of the tokens are not really important for you, you can omit them. Then in that case, the top P value should be adjusted by you. And where the tokens are important, but the more probable tokens are important, and you want to get more probable tokens to be used in your output, then in that case, you should use temperature, right? In case you don't want to remove any of the tokens or any of the trained material on which your LLM was trained, then in that case you should use temperature, right? But you just want that, yes, either the probability should be high or probability should be low for the next token. That's the only difference, right, for temperature and top P. But if you want to consider only top P, then what could be the scenarios? The first scenario is like generating thematically related but diverse ideas. For example, you have to generate a list of unique, varied ideas within a theme, like fantasy creature features, avoiding the absurd, right? So why you need to use the top P? Because high top P ensures a broad pool of plausible options. Okay, it cuts off very improbable tokens, maintaining thematic relevance, maintaining coherence in long-term creative writing, right? So this is how the high top P value, it gives a broad pool, right? Because you are not removing, uh, you know, all the tokens. You are keeping maximum tokens, 95% of the tokens on which the model was trained to generate the output. Now come to the second option. The goal is write a coherent novel chapter with fresh description, not just predictable phrases. Then in that case, you can use 0.85 to 0.95. Just an example. It allows selection from the wider set of contextually appropriate words, dynamically adjusts candidate pool, adding natural flow with variety, generating multiple distinct paraphrases. Okay, I hope you are getting the point. Even I don't need to just dictate this, you can simply read it. You can read the last one as well. And because it is self evident, I mean, after you have understood the top P and the temperature and its relevance, then after this I don't need to dictate this slide. Now come to the temperature. Let me give you some example related to the temperature. When you have to generate a strict factual recall or generation, then in that case you need maximize accuracy or precision. Then in that case you need to use the low temperature 0.1 to 0.3. It forces the model to pick the most probable correct tokens, minimizes creativity and potentially incorrect deviations because you are writing the code. So if you will make your code, so if you are writing your code, if you are asking some kind of code to the LLM, then in that case, keep the temperature value very lower, right? Or if you are using the top P, then in that case, keep the top P very lower. But the case of code generation, you should be able to choose from a wider set of tokens. That's why you should use temperature. But yeah, lower temperature will ensure that most probable tokens will be taken. Okay, so that it will be less creative because coding cannot be more creative. If you are creating more creative, if you are getting more creative coding options, then in that case maybe some code will not work the way you want it to work. That's why you need to be very precise, and if you have to become very precise, then in that case you should use low temperature. The second one is brainstorming wildly creative or abstract concepts. In that case you will use the high temperature, maybe 1.0 to 1.5. It flattens the probability because I have already told you that temperature just flattens the probability, making less likely words more accessible, drives out their creativity. Achieving a specific formality, conservatism in tone. This is again a very simple example. You can read it. Ensure responses are professional, reserved, and avoid slang like formal chatbots. Then, in that case, the temperature you need to keep lower, 0.4 to 0.6. It encourages a standard common phrasing, reduces overly casual or unexpected word choices. Okay, so this is the way the temperature and the top P values can be considered. Now, when to consider both? They can be considered both, right? They are not mutually exclusive and are often used in combination. What is the common strategy? Set a moderate temperature to introduce some general creativity if you have that demand. Then fine tune with top P to control the diversity and coherence. For example, higher top P for more variety, lower for more focus. So first you can use the temperature so that you don't lose all the tokens. And once you have generated some output using the temperature settings, then after that you can make it. We can decide to make it more diverse or more coherent within these token limits that have been generated. Then in that case, you can just update the top P value, right? You can set it to higher top P for more variety, lower for more focus. If temperature is very low, these are the important points. These last 2 points that I'm going to tell you. If temperature is very low, near zero, top P has less impact. That you must need to remember. If temperature is very high, top P can be crucial for preventing overly bizarre outputs. So that's all about this top P and the temperature. Now, what you have to do, you just have to go to the playground. You just have to log into the playground and start writing your questions there, right? And in the next video, I will just tell you that how to, write the prompts, where you write the prompts, and what is the difference between the system prompt and the user prompt, and what is the relevance of both of them. So I would like to say thanks a lot to all of you for having, uh, this course and your feedback and your, y- your comments will really help me out to create more such videos, and that will be the encouragement for me. So I would like you to just uh, like this video, subscribe my channel, and share these videos. Thank you. Have a nice day, and bye bye.